Hey, this video contains spoilers for the Tome of Haren, first book in the Keeper Chronicles series. You have been warned. They say there is no greater power than knowledge. Maybe this is why I'm so fragile. Knowledge? Limited. Head? Empty. Hotel? Trivag. The Tome of Haren is the first installment in the Keeper Chronicles, where teenagers are, yet again, responsible for the survival of a whole nation with the help of a single book. At least this time they don't have to save the world. For now, the series is only started, and a lot is happening. Me making this review means I successfully received my precious copy through the mail, which was not easy at all, let me tell you. Author and I struggled so hard to get it to me. Well, it was mostly him, actually. Hey, delivery person? I will never forgive you for losing my signed copy. You hear me? Never! Point is, hey, read the book. Skip to the outro for an overall spoiler-free feel of the book. Then read the book, then come back and rewind the video. If you don't care, let's go ahead and start the review. Take my hand. Take my whole life too. Wait, no, hold on. The prologue. This one's very ominous and sets the tone immediately. A king somewhere called Lamavors sorry, this name sounds so funny to me, sends a group of assassins and another of mercenaries on a mysterious mission. Way to make me invested. We're not allowed to care though, because author plants this stressful information in your mind only to go, haha, but don't worry about it. Here's a whole different set of characters to distract you in the meantime. I am familiar with evil author schemes, but I have no other choice than to go along with it, so I'm taking you with me. Lylla. First member of our friend group. Lylla wants to become a blue guard at the service of the king, like her parents before they died, and Lylla fails. That's it. This is her entire story arc. I literally have no other notes on Lylla alone, which coincides with my feeling that she's the most boring of the lot. Well, sorry, not boring. She has the most uneventful arc, let's say. Doesn't mean it's not good. I found her internal conflict to be engaging, as I've also gone through something similar. You choose a path to follow in life and then you realize it's not possible, or it is, but you still can't keep going for X reason, or even that you don't want it anymore. It's all part of growing up, I suppose, and Lylla's storyline reflects that in now she has to find her true purpose in life since becoming a blue guard is off the table. At the moment, at least. I hope she doesn't become one after all, cause that would defeat the entire progress she's made in this book. She's currently learning to use a weapon, so we'll see where this goes. Tall. Another drastic career change. Military guy turned magician. Sounds like me leaving science school to study English. That is quite the turn. But how did that happen, you're asking? That is a good question, Gancho. Well, my passion for science used to be tremendous, but then I spiraled into an endless pit of self-hatred and— oh, you meant Tal. Of course. Tal joins the Vanguard. It's like his biggest dream. But then he starts feeling this itching in his head. It's quite troubling. Soon after, he shows signs of magic during training. You're not supposed to do that. So imagine everybody's reaction when Tal accidentally succeeds in a test. He's picked to be trained as a Shan. If you're like me, you now probably have that other Shan in mind, in which case I deeply apologize on behalf of the author. Anyway, I'm glad I don't get to learn and use Shantry. The very first step is to concentrate, and for the life of me, I can't do that. So clearly not becoming a Shan anytime soon. Tal, on the other hand, well, he's not very good either at levitating stuff.
Leviosa.
He's in luck, though. Haren is such a good mentor. He listens to Tal's worries, he helps him overcome his struggles, and he gives him advice in a most kindly way. You know what my teachers always ever did? Talk down to me and remind me of how stupid I am. I much prefer Haren. He even acts as a father figure, but you know what this means. He's gonna die. I'm sorry. Sooner or later, he will. I don't make the rules. After much of the same struggle, Tal finally embraces Shantry thanks to a horse. Literally. There's not much more context. He also saves a queen by suddenly releasing huge magic to the enemy's faces. They got whipped real bad. This is pretty much it. Tal has a special kind of magic, and he chooses to study it some more at this Shan school. Part of me hopes he becomes a villain. I think it would be very interesting to see. Hessa. Hessa's side is the wildest. She's a dreamer, but of the extreme kind. It all starts at her job as a healer. One night, she's taking care of a man on the brink of death. Next minute, she's keeping him company on his way to the afterlife. Weird vision, and she has many more involving mysterious obelisks. As if that's not already dizzying enough. Assassins attack, and she and Lylla are chased after all the way to the palace, where they are put to safety. Can you imagine dealing with daily visions, nightmares, the ever-present feeling of being observed, hearing a random voice addressing you in your mind? Bro, I came for the adventuring, and what I'm actually experiencing is horror. I love it! What I don't love is how ready Hessa is to sacrifice herself. Like that one time she disguises herself as the princess to attend an event she knows will be visited by assassins. Everybody agrees to it, and the assassins do show up. I would be super offended if I was thrown to the wolves like this, but maybe it's just me. Anyway, turns out Hessa can go to the spirit world. The voice she's been hearing comes from there, and this one time it gives her a test. She passes it. Good job! You are afflicted with responsibilities bigger than you. Naturally, it doesn't stop there. The nice voice isn't the only voice around. There's an evil one that's trying to be unleashed from its prison, and I doubt it's for very good deeds. We don't get more, which is a shame. I like Hessa. Hessa is gentle and caring, and her personal quest sounds engagingly stressful. I would totally read it and willfully get stressed if she had her own book. Hessa spin-off when? Eiylin. I don't know how to feel about her. She's okay. Didn't leave a strong enough impression on me, I suppose. Eiylin is our princess, and she does princess things until an assassination attempt at the palace succeeds and kills her dad, the king. This death made me so upset, by the way. King Donovan made the mistake of qualifying as a good father and a decent ruler in a fantasy setting. And because that is punishable under federal law, he had to be erased. This obviously leaves Princess Eiylin vulnerable for various reasons. One of them is her having to take over the throne, or so I thought. There actually needs to be a vote, because she's a minor if I remember correctly, so her entire story arc is now filled with political talks and ally searching. This sounds boring, but I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. You know, seeing her struggle with grief and exploitation and relying on this Gothic guy, who is sketchy as hell, but at least he knows what he's doing. Or he sounds like it. Now... Towards the end of the book, Gothic calls her ignorant and stupid, and I hate to say it, but he's right. And listen, I'm no princess, never will be. If I were to be one, my kingdom would fall under my rule. But Eiylin, my dear, it's not like all the people around you didn't warn you about Gothic, and it's not like the author lied about him either. The fact that Gothic is bad news was rubbed in our faces repeatedly, and Gothic knows your laws better than you. Of course he was going to use it against you. So when Eiylin signed a paper Gothic gave her without even glancing at it, I was staring at my hair, at my face, at the book's pages. No books were harmed in the process, rest assured. Because who does that? Anyway, she wins the vote thanks to Gothic and blackmailing, and is crowned Gothic's puppet. I'm sorry, queen. She's crowned queen. To summarize, Eiylin is fine. Did she mishandle a lot of situations? Yes. Did she potentially put a whole kingdom in danger? Also yes. But she's only 16 and was thrown into her position overnight. Plus, I know what it's like to trust the wrong people, and being a dumb 16-year-old, dangerous combo. So yeah, we'll figure it out. Aeidor. But Kaya, the book is called the Tome of Haren. Where's the tome, Kaya? Calm down, I'm getting to it. It all starts one night when Aeidor is visited by the huntsman. Trust me, this man's name is not the most concerning part about him. It's when he says, "We need to talk." If I were Aeidor, I would have pissed myself. You don't want to hear that line, ever. Especially not from a stranger. No panic, though. Turns out the huntsman's actual name is Kailad, and he's a good lad. Forget I said that. Kailad goes, "You're a keeper, Aeidor." Keeper of what? Why? Keeper of the precious Tome of Haren. Title drop! Aeidor has no other plans in life. He's just a bullied cleaning servant, so he follows Kailad to become his apprentice. Now, what is the Tome of Haren? Why is our boy Aeidor being woken up in the middle of the night to go look for a book some random dude wrote? I mean, I love books, but I would be offended having my precious slumber interrupted like that. Well, remember Lamavours? He also wants the book because it is said to hold all the knowledge in the world, and he wants to use it as a weapon, learn the best ways to lead a war on Narion, and of course, win. We don't want our home to be destroyed by a guy called Lemavors of all names, so we make a party of well-known champions to retrieve the tome before the enemy does. When Caelad started introducing Aeidor to more and more people, my initial reaction was panic! Because I just got to know you, Caelad, how am I supposed to remember 10 more names? But I was relieved to see them characters being introduced steadily enough that I wasn't overly confused on who's who. But yeah, there's literally a dozen of them, and some of these people were more prominent than others. Anyway, off to adventure we go. Pick up a book that only Caelad knows the location of, and so if he happens to die, we'll be in big trouble because all of Narion will be doomed and everybody in it will perish. Here's a PowerPoint presentation of how it goes. 1. The Vale. This is a most dangerous place that Caelad absolutely had wanted to avoid on their journey. But while everybody's busy surviving a blotter ambush, Aeidor is lured in by voices and they all end up inside the Vale. Now I don't know what I expected exactly, but this place turned out to be much more depressing than I thought. The spirits are creepy, the darkness is hungry, the diamonds are a trap, and the ghosts are evil. Bro! Sounds like they're wandering around in my brain! It affects them all negatively, as you can imagine. One of them even dies. The most fun guy in the group. So we're now also very sad and got nothing to shield us from it. This isn't a matter of a few hours, they're stuck here for days. Is that tome really worth it? They finally make it out of the Vale by making a deal with this place's final boss, a dragon. He's a special dragon, and on top of having to find the Tome of Haren, Aeidor, yes, Aeidor specifically, has to retrieve something, an egg.
You give me my delicious egg.
Hey, are you not aware of how expensive eggs are these days? You know, the time spent in this Vale place started increasing, and I was worried that the book would eventually lose me because of it. I think it's very easy here to go overboard and accidentally make this whole part long and boring. Believe me, I was so ready to complain, but surprisingly, it was just the right amount of time spent, the right amount of challenges, the right amount of pages, the right amount of everything. Good job, author. You escaped the wrath of Angie Kaya for now. Side note, Aeidor has doubts about him being the Keeper, and I have doubts too. The Keeper is meant to be 1. Blessed with the blood of the High Galwains, 2. Blessed with the magic of the Shan, and 3. Blessed with the gift to see into the spiritual world. Aeidor could meet requirement number 1, but the rest are clearly Tal and Hessa. You know what this means? It's time to fusion! 2. The Swamp. Escaping the Vale and seeing the sun again is a very quick dopamine shot, because guess what? The Blooders are back! Don't get sick of them already, they're here and they're here to stay. This time, the chase eventually takes us to the forest of the Swamp. This part is like a filler episode, but it's nice because it's a good break after going through a literal nightmare. And we're still working, technically. Caelad and the gang secure an alliance with the Swamp people. Job done, we can go.
What are you doing in my swamp?
Blooder attack! Told you they're clingy. 2 members of the group get heavily injured and must be escorted back to get help. Do the math. That's 3 down. Eiylin casually says, and then there were 8. Is this a reference? I sure hope this book doesn't end with an and then there were none. 3. Antervane. This is a massive cemetery of a city where every inch of it is paved with skeletons. The tome is here! Well, inside the city's catacombs. I'll let you guess what happens on the way there. That's right, Goncho, you're so smart. We get attacked by Blooders! How many are there? Our team runs a bunch, then has to swim through an underwater tunnel, both to get closer to the tome and to flee the Blooders. This scene was anxiety-inducing because I know for sure that if I were part of the group and had miraculously survived until now, I would have died right here. Kaya is a buoyant little thing, but she still can't swim. Ah, also, Caelad is kidnapped by the Blooders, and our one healer dies.
Some doctor, I am...
Good times. 4. The Catacombs. Aeidor and the gang, or what's left of it, finally make it. The tome is here. The tome is ours. And it's a talking book? I don't know why I find it so silly that a potential weapon of massive destruction is a book that can talk. You just need to ask it a question, any question really, and it answers right back, because it knows everything. It's like Google wearing vintage clothes. We should ask it whether there's a way to stab skeletons? No, really, because there's a horde of them after us now. And believe me, I tried stabbing a skeleton with regular star knives one fateful D&D night and it was not very effective. Iacor. Iacor? It could be Iacor, for all we know. Anyway, this man, I was so confused by him because his point of view kind of came out of nowhere, but remember those assassins from the beginning? He's part of them. And, well, I'm still not sure I understand the purpose of his chapters. He gets promoted as captain, he's betrayed, he's tortured, and eventually saved by a hooded figure he encounters. Still confused. Iacor doesn't seem like the worst of men, so I wonder if he's about to change sides. Who's the guy with the hoodie anyway? Sounds like Cain, but does it even make sense? The ending. We're back home with 2 less people on our team. It's always the nicest ones dying. The saddest part is that Wyssa, the healer, is Hessa's mother, which makes sense, they're very similar. Aeidor forgives one of his bullies. He's a saint? I could never! And he's even inviting him to our team? Wow. A feast is held to celebrate the return of our heroes. And would you look at this? Romance ensues. Thank goodness Eiylin is direct, cause Aeidor would have hit it all night. And now, the finale. Eiylin makes a declaration of war on our enemies. You think this sounds out of character? You're right. It's Gothic's idea. But hey, we have the Tome TM on our side. This was the Tome of Haren, ladies and gentlemen. One thing I love about authors asking me for a review, well, first of all, among all the reviewers, you chose me? Aw, shucks. And also I get free books? Hell yeah, keep them coming. But the one thing I love about authors asking me for a review is I get to discover some new, awesome stories I probably wouldn't have heard of otherwise. The Tome of Haren is one of them. Maybe the one thing I didn't like is how I couldn't really connect to most characters. I don't know if it's because there are many and therefore we don't have time to really get to know any of them. And yeah, some more and more likable than others, but I'm not crazy over any of them, which is almost lethal to my fangirl of a soul. Some might say the world building is unoriginal, but I don't think it's necessarily a flaw. In this case, it felt like a blanket. I am so passionate about blankets, with enough familiarity and enough new things in the context of the story that it just felt comfy. The book says it's 563 pages long. It's not. It's much longer than that. Look at how tiny the writing is. My eyes hurt. In my previous review, I blamed the book for being too long and throwing heavy exposition into tedious dialogue. This book also has dialogue sometimes in which Kylad, for instance, will explain a thing while his companions ask why and how. This is some level of exposition too, and I would normally complain. But the difference here is that the amount of information that's communicated to the reader is digestible. We unlock a new piece of information, just the right amount, and bam, we move on. We don't blabber for hours, we don't waste time, we don't dump the entire history of the entire world onto the same long paragraph. Refreshing. I still think the book probably should have had another round of edits. I caught quite a few typos. Some of the punctuation was off, and there's even this one time when the wrong character name is mentioned. All in all, largely decent book, and I think you should read it, especially if you like adventure and multi-POV stories. Now excuse me, I'm leaving to go seal my Tome of Haren, cause after all, what does it know that I don't know?
Many trees for many seasons, Goncho.
I'm keeping eye contact. Run while you can.